So I'm gonna start warning you guys about like this new society. A lot of us as young women, we're dating guys, and these guys are nothing like you. They're not built like you mentally. They're not what you expect them to be. I don't care if you're into girls, they're not what you expect them to be. You're dealing with people that want to eat off of your success. They want you to go work and take care of them. They want you to go do everything and be there for them. Sometimes you guys have these people sewn into your family, sewn into the family roots. They just want you to just pour out everything for them. If they give you a gift, the gift is actually for them. It's not really for you, but knowing your mindset because you are a giver, that you would give it back to them. But guess what? Most givers end up with takers. Most givers end up with takers. You were given that mindset because that's a slave mindset, according to them, to be a caring person, to be a compassionate person, to be a giver. This is part of the reason why, if you are a giver, you have to find other givers, and they will sit up there and blind you to other givers because they are not givers themselves. So they embed and root in your family and in your relationships. What do we say? They disguise, they look like us. They are very much disguised in relationships, because sometimes you're dating a person and you're so blind. And I talk about the blindness perspective of it, that you're in relationships and you're blind, so you don't even know who you're dating. A lot of guys, you're going through blindness and you're dating other men, and you don't even know that you date other men because it's doing what a woman do, but you don't even know that. And now you're sitting up there, you're adding to the abuse of this male that is taking on the persona of a woman, because he was told this is what he must do to obtain riches. He has to transition himself into a woman. So now he comes to you and you are a man, and he's pretending to be a woman to infiltrate you, and you can't even tell that it's not your girlfriend, because your girlfriend is being raped off the same way as you being raped off by that man, by someone else. It may even be a woman, because this does not have a gender specific error. See, this is why we have to remove the biases so that we can actually show you. Like you had Martin Luther King say, you don't need to judge a man by the color of their skin. You sitting up there, you saying, oh, we all black, so hey, we black people. And you don't even know that you're not even considered black to them, because spiritually you're pure, so you considered white because your spirit is pure. You're not even in the epidemic of actually being considered a black person. You so spiritually pure that you're white to them. That means that your spirit doesn't hold all the demons and skeletons that their spirits hold. So you're white to them. You're considered pure to them. They're still trying to defile you. This is part of the reason why they're trying to rape you off. I tell people this all the time, and some of this stuff we don't really get a chance to actually talk about. Like, I don't always get a chance to tell you guys about the the raping, the rip-offs, the theft, the taking of certain things. Like right now, we have people taking from you education. They started this in your youth. They started this while you were a child. All that teaching that you learned since kindergarten, they've been stealing that from you. They've been stealing it slowly but surely. Your discipline, they've been stealing it slowly but surely. They like to steal these type of stuff. This is part of the reason why we say you got to stay constantly in the word of God. Why do I got to stay constantly in the word of God? Because there's some things in that word of God that we got to decode to you. That's not going to be given to you. Like you sit up there and you read Genesis and you get one thing. I read Genesis, I get a whole nother, I get a whole nother scenario. Because you was taught to read Genesis as Adam and Eve was disobedient. And they indeed were. That's how you end up in those states. That's good. But now I need you to dig deeper because there are some things that's going to show up and say that it's God. And it is not in a season that you rarely expect it because now you got mankind showing up saying it's God. And it's the children of God and they are sons of God, but they are not. And this is where we go into longevity. My heart will not always agree with what? Mankind. Why? Because it's masquerade, it looks like us, it's acting like us, but is it us? No, it's not us. There are some things that basically is underneath the earth. And I don't always get to tell these stories like this, but I want to tell you, say, there are some things that are underneath the earth that are also above the earth. Yeah, buddy. So we looking at the stars and there's some things that's above that are underneath. There's some gems. We looking at the gems, we looking at the stars, we looking at all this stuff, and when you start matching them up, what's up top is underneath as well. And they're working in a cycle. But this stuff is too deep sometimes for me to even put out. So I'm not going to even get into that deepness of it. I'm just going to get into the deepness of you actually learning what's really going on. Okay, we have Adam and Eve, right? They're in the Garden of Eden. This is a den. They are comatose. Understand, they are in a coma state. This is why when we sit up here and we talk about the matrix, what is the matrix? You be in a coma state. They trying to put you in a coma. They can hold you in that coma for 30 years. 30 years of your life will pass you by if you don't live your life while you're in that comatose state. You sitting up there, you on blind. How did I get blind? Let me tell you something. Take your bed up and walk with it. Take your bed up, take your affliction, take your problems, take your issues, and you're going to have to Forrest Gump this thing and you're going to have to walk with it. And this is what I'm going to tell you. It's not going to be a physical walk. This is you saying, okay, I have all these problems. I'm not finna walk all the way to Georgia and I'm in Florida. I'm not finna walk all the way to Canada and I'm in Florida. I'm not finna walk nowhere. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna battle my issues from where I'm at because I'm already in a state where I cannot move because I'm sitting up here and I'm dealing with Satan. Satan is that comatose state that they're putting you in with this matrix where you cannot defend yourself, where you cannot fight off your enemies and stuff like that. A lot of us are dealing with childhood enemies that don't want to give you nothing. They don't want you with nothing. They never wanted you nor your people with nothing. With nothing. Do you understand what I'm saying? A lot of our childhood enemies being raped off too. But they had to become accepting of it. I'm going to be real with you. When you start sitting up here and dealing in certain groups of people, they have taught their sons that they'll have to deal with rape. And to know what it is and to man up. This is a cultural thing. And I'm gonna be real with you. And a lot of them weren't expecting that. Certain women groups are teaching their young women that they're gonna have to deal with rape and they're gonna have to woman up, and they weren't expecting that. But I tell you that some of us are forced to deal because and that's part of those two groups too. They're forced to deal, they're forced to cope, they're forced to go through certain things and stuff like that. All of this is force manipulation, vibranium. When we talk about vibranium and they send up there telling you it's a metal, metal says meet all. This is going to happen to everyone. This what you're hearing, what you're seeing, it's going to happen to everyone. So when I start ministering this thing, because I got to minister it because I'm a woman of God, so I cannot have you go out there ignorant nor naive, knowing that I know the truth and not speak on it or divulge the information. This is part of the reason why half my YouTube channels they try to change. Half of my YouTube channels they trying to sit up there and stop me from divulging certain information to you. But information is key. Information is intel. They're not going to tell you that. They're building a slave society. Period and point blank. They're not going to sit up there and say, oh, yeah, we want y'all all as slaves. No, they're going to slowly do it. They're going to slowly manipulate it. They're going to slowly do stuff. This is part of the reason why I need you guys to hone in on your talents, on your craft, on what you need to do for yourself. Guess what? We're sitting up there. We're going into the medical industry. I'm going to be real with you. In this season, I'm at this point where if they don't divulge the amount of money that they pay ahead of time, don't even waste the time to even entertain those people. They need to divulge their pay ahead of time. This is one way you're going to know if they're straight up. If you sitting up there and you're applying for a job and it does not tell you how much it pays ahead of time, don't go to it. If you go to it and you notice that the price has changed, you are dealing with an enemy. Don't go through it. That's one way they have been depriving us financially. Other way is education. You got a group of people. I'm gonna be real with you. That's going to school. You can go to school, educate yourself, and not know nothing after you finish school. Because the question now comes: which one do you want? Do you want the certification, the piece of paper, or do you want the education? Because there is a group now within our community that says, look, we'll give you the paper but we want the education, or we'll give you the education but we want the paper. Catch on to what they're doing. All this is manipulation. First of all, I went to school for the education and the paper. So where do you get off getting anything out of this? Your schooling was free. We already paid the cost for you. They did not pay the cost for you. They did not pay that cost for you. They're going to sit up there and they're going to try to psychologically manipulate you into the fact that they paid the cost for you when everybody has access to that. Everybody's able to do it, but they will lie to you because they want to sit up there and basically make you understand you are nothing to them. So this is a slave mindset that they're trying to install back into mankind, whether you black, white, Hispanic, whatever. See, because they always thought like, oh, white people, it's white people, it's this people, it's them Hispanics, it's these Indians. Let me be real with you. Stop thinking with biases and start attacking the problem, which is the principle. It's their principles. There is a diverse group of people with bad principles. And they were taught bad principles because these principles are basically put into the atmosphere to deprive you. When you stand up against bad principles, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spirits and principles of the darkness. It's meant to stop you. Now, you guys are being taught to be against God. I'm going to tell you where this is coming from. Okay. You got a group that's trying to be God. You will never physically see God. God is the word of God that had been written by the clergies, by the clerks of God, by the disciplines and the principles of God's will. And they said, okay, well, this is best for who? For mankind. It's a group of people came together. We done went through this lotus flower. What would have been our best approach at this? We done sat here, we done laid here in this matrix, comatose. Now we come together afterwards. What is the best approach? We're not gonna have sex. Okay. Man should not sleep with mankind. Guess what? They're trying to sit up there and get rid of that. See, because guess what? They want to give that towards homosexuality. Homosexuality actually came to by abuse. This is to abuse a man into less than a man or a woman. That's where homosexuality actually came by. When you start sitting up there and you start psychologically analyzing yourself, you will notice that somebody abused me. Why? Because now I have a mentality to a certain degree of an abuser. Somebody did something to me. I was raped off, whether it's a group of men or a group of women. I was raped off by them. My innocence was stolen by them. So how do I regain my innocence? I'm not going to sleep with nobody. I'm not going to sleep with nobody. Guess what? I'm a no sexual. I'm not bisexual. I'm not heterosexual. I'm not none of that. I'm a no sexual. I don't have sex at all. I'm not even in question about my sexuality because I'm not going to do it at all. There's no mysteries or riddles to me, baby. I'm not going to do it at all. Now, with you coming at it with that approach, guess what? That's basically what's going to get us into Exodus. This is what's going to get us out of slavery. There's going to be some stuff that we're going to have to learn in desolation, in isolation, that nobody else is going to talk about, or it's not going to be taught to them because we was taught to marry. We didn't know that marriage was a weakness. We didn't know that they was only teaching us marriage so that they could sit up there and steal from us. How many of you knew that marriage was only so that they can steal from you? They never meant for you to have. They never meant for you to be in a growth process. They never meant for you to expand and to extend. See, because every time you say, no, I'm not going to have sex, the first thing, God say, be fruitful and multiply. Which God are you talking about? Which God are you talking about? Because being fruitful and multiplying can curse you in many ways. So, what God are you talking about? How can I multiply when I'm not even in the proper commandment of God? What am I multiplying? I'm multiplying evil. I'm multiplying sin. I'm multiplying debt. Because sin is debt to a certain degree. Because guess what? You're going into debt having kids when you're not properly aligned with God to even be having kids. And this is stuff that they're never going to teach you. They're not going to teach you about the thieves that come. Everything that's free, they trying to steal from you. The government send you a free check in the mailbox. They stole it out the mailbox. You should not be struggling. The government actually believed in Commonwealth for you. Guess what? The U.S. Treasury send you a check probably every month. That check never hits your hand, not 1 month. And when it does hit your hand, it's maybe 2,000 you see on that check. And that's not the right amount. Sometimes it's way more than that. You may see 400 and it's way more than that. But it hit your hand this time. And maybe it was because somebody missed work that day or something. They people was on strike or something. I don't know. Yeah. I'm just gonna be blood honest with you. Or maybe it hit your hand so they can say, hey, well, this one was signed by them and we can show proof that they got this one, but they can't show proof for none of the other stuff that they done stole. It may be 3 or 4 of them they gave you. And the rest of them they can't show proof for it because guess what? You believe in elevation. You have a growth mindset. When they give you money, you have the sense to spend the money wisely. So you don't squander. You don't steal. You don't do certain stuff that they do to get money. And you don't go into debt. You don't go into sin. But see, the way things are set up is to keep you what? Indebted. Keep you sick mentally. Keep you sick physically. I can tell you right now, most of Americans that go to work, half of them don't even have time to see the doctor. Think about it. If you're not sexually active, you shouldn't be getting sick, right? But guess what they're doing too? They're poisoning our water supply. It's part of the reason why I try mostly to drink what? Bottled water, drink, cook with bottled water, utilize bottled water for everything. So whenever I cook, you can tell the difference between my cooking. Because guess what? Everything use bottled water. My family cook, they be like, oh, we using the sink water. Ain't nothing wrong with this doggone water. We've been drinking this water since we were kids, and that's part of the problem. Because you can't educate them on that. And sometimes I'm forced to eat with them. That same water. And I keep telling them the same thing. But guess what? At some point, I'm gonna leave them there with that same water because I'm tired of trying to educate them and tell them, say, hey, we gotta think different, we gotta operate different, we gotta do stuff different. They think Flint just hit Flint area. When we just now in Rivera, they said sewage was leaking in, but then this is Palm Beach County where I'm at. They said sewage had been leaking for months and months into the regular faucet water, and it was on the news. But guess what? We still drinking sewage water. Now, we already know about Help A, Help B. Guess what? We got to go get those treatments. We got to get vaccinated because you was told that the CDC was against you and not to do vaccinations. Guess why they didn't want you to do vaccination? Because guess what? One day you're going to wake up and you're going to be so sick that all you can do is lay there and be abused. And that's our awakening because we're not sitting up here and preparing. And guess what? Even when you prepare, one side of me is going to be stronger than the other side. And I'm praying that it's the side that I'm on. Because my work, I want to prosper from. And when you start using certain processes and you say, okay, well, I only want to use bottled water and prep my food or whatever, you're going to notice a switch. You're going to start seeing the lights for what it really is. A bunch of things that like to prey on you, a bunch of predators. You're going to see it for what it really is. So when you sitting up there, and guess what? The predator has dread. Dread is the name of the slave master. So those predators want to enslave you and be your slave master. So they predatory on you. They do certain stuff to prey on you. They attack you and harm you to try to build fear in you. That's that Willie Lynch. That's that Lynch all over again. Because guess what? They came with a philosophy that if we sit up here and we do certain stuff and we show them that we can get away with it, nobody will rebel against us. They're not going to rise up. You sitting up there, I can tell you my experience for the academy. I was in the academy. I'm going to school to be a correction officer. By the time I got out of the academy with everything that I had been through, I said, I do not want to be a correction officer. Honestly, this is an honest story. I think I intentionally failed my last exam on purpose. The white man didn't allow me a easy out. I was called sergeant before I even exit the academy. I was called Sergeant Brown before I even exited the academy. He didn't allow me an easy out. I understand now today why that easy out wasn't given. I understand even more why why to enforce the law if I'm going into law. Why it's important. Why I cannot have people beside me that does not carry the same principles as me because they can cause me harm. We don't talk about these things. We don't discuss these things. We don't always say some. And I can honestly tell you, because we're running saying, hey, man, these the bad areas, man. I don't even want to deal with these people. I don't even want to have nothing to do with them. Look what they doing. I don't want nothing to do with that. And I had to learn that some of them areas we're gonna have to walk up in and take back by force. This is part of the military training right now. Like, this is the militant part of it. This is that veteran part of it that you're not getting because you ain't got a veteran certification. You weren't told that you was a soldier, but you won't have to be a soldier through this one. You weren't told that we're at war right here on our home front every day and that we're going to have to be soldiers through this thing, because guess what? We were told that the war was off up in Iraq somewhere and you didn't know that your eye was racked with a whole bunch of stuff that you shouldn't even been seeing, and that they're stealing your vision. You was taught Russia, but you didn't know that you got caught up in some mess because you was Russian, and now we dealing with some stuff that you don't even know about. So some of this stuff ain't actually being told to you. You was talking to, they was telling you they committed genocide in Africa somewhere. But the genocide was right here on the home front because they wanted to get rid of all the poor people. Yeah, they wanted to get rid of you. They felt like you was no contribution or whatever. I can't tell you how many times. Let me be real with you. You're on welfare. You on food stamps. You on government assistance and housing. Now they're trying to prostitute out these women that are on these things because they say they have no attributes other than to lay on their back. So this is their plot and their manipulation. That's why they want us on their housing system. That's why they want us on their Section 8 systems and stuff like that. Guess what? Pay attention. What I just said. They want us on their system. Let me be real with you. They ain't over those systems. We still dealing with the Garden of Eden. The Garden of Eden didn't even belong to the one who was saying that they were gods. It belonged to actual God. It belonged to someone else. But this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with government systems that have been infiltrated by groups of people, that 5%, that 1%, that infiltrated. Sometimes it goes all the way up to 10%. I never really seen a 20% system. It may be out there, but I never really seen a 20% system that operated on a takeover, but it may be. And their families are taking over the systems and managing the systems. But how are they doing it? How are they able to do this and stuff like that? Sometimes they're using your name. This is part of the reason why we're dealing with identity theft. They're using your name. I gave so and so and used your name, and that's the reason why you paying all that money for taxes. And you're like, how could I be paying this much and I didn't get no money? I'm still broke. I don't make that kind of money. I barely survive. And then you still want me to pay you some money at the end of the year. You want $1,500. You want $400. You want money from me at the end of the year, and I don't have any money. I'm struggling every day just to make it because my rent is sky high. I have to pay for my own medical care. I have to pay for my own everything. You're not giving me anything, but you're constantly having a demand and wanting from me. And that comes from the fact that there's a group using your social security, using your identity. Did I just not tell you that they just not gave me my identification back from years and years ago? The same number? Did I just tell you guys that? And took the other number? B 215 was my old number. Now I was originally B650 on my driver's license. B650 had been my number for years and years and years. Guess what they switched it to? B215. That's an old one for me. Know what you're dealing with. Know what you're dealing with. But all of this is going on. Why? Because you got people infiltrating. How many times we told you the church is infiltrated? So they're teaching you in the church, you gotta forgive. Forgive, forgive, forgive. Forgive, forgive, forgive. You know the reason why they're teaching you that foolishness? Because they want you to stay in sin. One reason why they're teaching you that, because you constantly go to God, God forgive me, and you be right back sinning, right? They're not telling you about demonic captivity. Because every time you ask for forgiveness and you go back into that, guess what? More demons come to try to keep you from actually serving God. Guess what? They sitting up there, they abusing you through your kindness of forgiving people. You're dealing with family members, you're dealing with people around you, you're dealing with people that you talk to or whatever. They have abused you and still want access. They have abused you and still want a socialization and don't want you to sit up there and call them what they is. I call a spade and a dog a dog. I don't call a dog a cat unless it actually is a hybrid, because you do have them out there too. But we're dealing with people that are takers and you're a giver. Guess what? How many of you know that is a must going on now? You don't get choices no more. Everything's a must. Everything's a must. Everything's a must. I must educate myself. I must do better for myself. I must read. I must sit up here and write. I must sit up here and divulge information. I must sit up here and document what's taking place. I must, I must, I must, I must, I must. You're not given choices anymore. Because if you don't speak up on it, guess what? They'll never know the truth. That's why they tell you, be quiet. You can have and be quiet. You know how many mansions people are living in right now, and that's because they're quiet. They living in a mansion, but they going through all our hell because they quiet. They're bleeding anally because they quiet. Say quiet about it. Don't say nothing. But the moment that you begin to divulge what's taking place, you begin to see the enemy for what it is. There is a mankind that says that they're God. Why are they saying that they're God? Because basically they got your tail there in a comatose state, in the matrix, trying to rule over you. Since you was a child, you went to their people's school, which weren't their people's school, but guess what? That's who ran it. That 10%, that 20%, that 5%, that 1% that ran that school. And maybe every once in a while you'll see a good face come through. They may stick around for a while, but they be raped off too. Going through pure hell, trying to sit there and teach you something. Trying to enlighten you to a certain amount of wisdom, because you're not going to get it. When I sat up here and I first started dealing with rape situations, and I'm telling these people, hey, I'm dealing with rape situations. I'm not even sexually active. I got an STD. How do you get an STD? I ain't busting it wide open for nobody. I ain't having sex with nobody, but I'm being raped. Pay attention. I'm being raped. Would I have known that if I had a boyfriend? Blind as I am, would I have known that? No. This is what I've been saying to gay women and men and straight women and men. You're not going to know that you're being raped off unless you cut the sexual ties. Stop having sex. This so we can show you what's really going on so that we can issue in a whole new era. But guess what? You can't do that because there are certain people that are into hoism that is meant to stop you. I'm gonna be real with you. You sitting up there, you talking about serving God. The moment you enter into that church, it's a bunch of hoes that run up to you, trying to connect themselves to you, trying to hook up with you. And yes, some of them are settled. Some of them ain't even hoes. They just being used. That's the vessel that the enemy's using. Some of them ain't even hoes. They just using vessels. This the vessel that a nigga using. This is what it is. So when you walk in that church, you're hooking up in relationships with someone that's already probably captive. They're not liberated yet. You're not dealing with a liberator. Guess what? You're dealing with it in everyday life too. How many of you guys are in everyday life talking to or entering into relationship with people you work with? You weren't taught to sit up there and cover your plate and not date on your job because it can get messy. But guess what? You went on your job and you dated anyway and created a mess for yourself. They ain't teach you better. But guess what? If you was a no sexual and you weren't dating, you wouldn't have those issues on the job. Cause girls want to go on the job, they want to fight on the job with you. What you mad at me for? What's your problem? We ain't got no beef, baby. I don't hate on other women. I don't hate on other men. But I'm gonna have some men that don't like me. I'm gonna have some women that don't like me. Guess what? And I will check you. But that's some stuff that we dealing with too. Why don't they like you? Are you different from them? Yeah. Because guess what? They look at your life and they think everything just falls in line and is perfect. They don't know nothing that you're going through. They don't know the hell that you go home to. They don't know the hell that you don't know that you're going through. They don't know none of that. They don't even know that you don't know that you even captive. They just think that you live a life that's all together, put together. And it ain't. So when we start divulging this stuff, we have to divulge it. I can't tell you how many married women I have to tell you can't sleep with your husband. She's looking at me. She's like, what? That's boo. That's bae. I got married so that I can do what I want to do with him. Baby, you can't sleep with your husband because your husband is being sodomized. And they're sodomizing you too. But both of y'all got to wake up to the sodomy that's going on. Now, I don't know where it came in at and what captivated you or him, but at the same time, because a lot of times, let me go ahead and break this thing down to you. You ain't got to do wrong for wrong to show up and say, hey, I'm gonna do what I want to do with you. See, this thing done got real out of hand. See, they ain't gonna tell you what the enemy doing. Enemy saying, look, you ain't even got the sin for me to sit up there and basically take you through. See, some of y'all was thinking like, hey, I gotta sin. I gotta turn up. I gotta. No, the enemy don't care no more. You ain't gotta sin. The enemy don't care no more. You ain't gotta do nothing wrong. Enemy don't care no more. You ain't got to do nothing. The enemy will take you and your family through. So when I start talking to people, and I challenge married couples to do this, not to have sex with each other, so that you can see what's really taking place. When you sit up there and you hear your husband say, I feel blood coming out of me anally, you will know it's bad. When your wife starts saying, I'm bleeding and I don't know what's going on. See, because a lot of this stuff is they saying thyroid and all this stuff right here. You sitting up there as a woman, you going to get a hysterectomy and all of this different stuff. Let me be real with you. Some of this stuff is stemming from us being enslaved and raped off. Slavery ain't ending, but unless we enlighten the people to it, because right now there's a group saying we could have saved more, but they didn't even know that they were slaves. They didn't even know that they had been enslaved. We could have saved more people. We could have got more people out. Should I save more or let them die in the field? We could have got more people out, but they didn't even know. And some of us woke, and this is where the stay woke come in at. Stay woke, man. Stay woke, man. Stay woke. Why? Because you fall asleep. And this is not a person saying, hey, just stay up all night and all day. And you got bags up under your eyes the size of a whole house. No, but sweetheart, you're going to have to go to sleep. They can put you in that matrix at any time. They can put you in that comatose state at any time. So don't even stress it. This is how I tell people, okay, if you're a prisoner and you doing time and you know you got to do time, you do your time, right? Let me do my time. Now, how you do your time is going to make a big difference. Because guess what? There are jokers that's coming out of prison with law degrees. There are jokers that's coming out of prison with degrees up under their belts. Now, how you do your time is how you do your time. But realize they ain't going to let you free. You're going to have to fight for your freedom. You're going to have to work for your freedom. You can sit up there and you can go to court. I'm going to be real with you. I'm fighting for my son one time for the custody of my son. And here I am. I'm going to court. I'm showing them all the mistakes these people don't even got a chronological law. They implemented stuff months and months ago and changed everything. The actual agent, the actual case manager that was originally on the case isn't even the case manager displayed within the paperwork. All this I'm pointing out in court. The judge, let me show you just how a judge cannot tell me. The judge in my case, I would love for y'all to see the footage because I'm at some point I'm going to post this footage. The judge in my case sat up there trying to cover for the case manager. You're a judge. Therefore, you can't say that you entered into my case without a bias. Because of your behavior was so unbecoming that you can't even say that you enter into my case without a bias. And guess what? You told me that this case was canceled. So I wasn't even supposed to show up to court that day. It's a good thing that I showed up to court because even when they told me that the case was canceled, I showed up to court anyway. That's how I was able to still argue my case. But originally, you told me this case was canceled. I showed up anyway just to double check. And you were still proceeding on with the case when that case was supposed to be canceled. So you was going to remove my parental rights one way or another. You didn't care how you did it. And they weren't expecting me to show up. But this is the game that's played. Your children, let me be real with you. They're telling you about how this sodomy is going on with your children. Guess what? They closed down the whole school system, started educating kids at home. So they started making them do classes at home. Guess what? I'm still for that right now. I'm still for it. But guess what they told my mom? When my mom was sitting there, she say, I was sitting there with your son and they was teaching him. And I would sit there and I would be monitoring what he's doing and stuff like that. They said she wasn't even allowed to sit there and monitor what he was doing in the classes. I say, how is that? How is that? What are you telling me? It's your job to monitor what they're doing in that class. Even though he's doing it online, it's your job to monitor. So I started paying attention when I started teaching in the school system. I started paying attention to how some of the parents would be in the room and they have the child turn it up and they would just monitor through listening or whatever the case may be. They wouldn't visually what's my name, but they would monitor through the child listening or whatever. Through listening to what the child's doing and paying attention to what the child's doing. We are battling things right here on home for soldiers. I know you weren't trained to be no soldier. You was trained to be a United States citizen. And guess what? There is a Patriot Act that has to now come into place where you step your game up. I'm not a veteran. I'm not trained to be a soldier. I'm not trained to be certain stuff. But at the same time, we got so much going on because guess what? They saying they sovereign. How many of y'all know that we got these communities that saying that they're sovereign and they ain't? You trying to get money from the citizens of the United States, but you talking about something you ain't want nothing to do with them. But you're using United States money to commit terrorist act against their own citizens. You don't want to be a United States citizen. You have renounced your rights to the United States. You have renounced your rights to actually having access to the people of the United States, but at the same time, you want everything that the United States have to give you. No, 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 no. We can't do that. We do not negotiate with terrorists. We do not fund terrorist activities. We do not fund terrorist behavior. But guess what? They know this. So what do? They steal from you, the citizen. They building communities right here. That's demonic. Talking about they God, because that's what a demon, the man does. He says he's the God. He's God. That's what a demon's trying to tell you. This is the reason why you're dealing with the devil, which is the veil. That veil that they have over your eyes that compromises your vision, it's like channeling. I wasn't supposed to stay on this that long, but I'm gonna go ahead on and finish this hour up and go on and get y'all to understand what's going on. You are channeling what you believe in. So guess what? If you believe in this mess shouldn't be going on, start blocking some of the stuff. Like if you don't believe in sex, start blocking it. If you don't believe that cursing and foul language, like every 5 minutes, see, because I don't have a problem cursing. Guess what? I grew up around people that did nothing but cussing, use foul language, profanity, or whatever the case may be, right? But what I learned is that this language is a channeler for evil. So that's why I had to stop using foul language and say, okay, well, certain foul language, man, I can't have it around my family. Certain language I have to sit up here and block because guess what? What's going on is that they're channeling where they're going to put you at in this little thing. You want to end up in heaven? Start making your own heaven. For I am the master of my ability, my atmosphere, my what I have control over. I'm going to deal with everything that I have control over until I have control over the things that I don't have control over. And I'm going to start doing exactly that. I don't have control over how much you pay me. I don't have control over this. I don't have control over that. I don't have control over certain things. But guess what? What I do have control over, let me manage appropriately. Let me deal with it appropriately. Let me be a good steward of what I do have management over, because the little things that I'm managing over, it's going to turn into bigger things, that's going to turn into bigger things, that's going to turn into bigger things. So when you go to work and you work in those jobs, let me be real with you, manage appropriately, deal with it appropriately, do what you have to do appropriately. Why? Because that little bit that you're managing says, okay, eventually it's going to be more and more. But if you're storing properly with the little bit, it'll get better with with bigger sizes. Baby, you had a lot of problems. You had a lot of things go on. You dealt with a lot of vibranium, which wasn't even your type of vibe. You dealing with a lot of bad vibes, baby, where they were sending evil your way left and right, left and right, left and right, trying to hit you and throw you off your A game. And this happened to all of us. So what I'm gonna tell you is this: sit up there, get your vibe and get your atmosphere right. Get your vibe, get your atmosphere right. Certain people, you cannot let certain people into your atmosphere because they're gonna contaminate your atmosphere. Sometimes you thinking because such and such is here, I'm going through bad stuff. Let me be real with you. Such and such might be your deliverer, but they doing bad things to you to keep you from getting delivered. They don't always tell you that side of it too, because you're gonna wake up to that as you're going through. You get what I'm saying? Okay, we trying to steal your education. So the moment you sign up for a grant, education grant, guess what? We taking you through per hell. We trying to steal the fact that y'all got a housing program. So the moment that you sign up for housing in Section 8, they take you through per hell. And guess what? Housing don't know about this. Section 8 don't know about this. The government don't know about this. They don't know that you're being raped off in your home and people coming in your home on you. They don't know about the fact that your landlord keep asking for a key, so you got to use a portable lock and stuff like that, and make sure you lock down your house at night through a portable lock from Amazon, and lock your windows and stuff, because they'll come through your windows. These niggas come through windows. You got to lock your window down. Make sure if they come, they can't get it open. I'm telling you, even if you got the latch where it latch, still put an additional portable lock on that thing on your window where they can't get in there. Cause they come through the windows on you. This sovereign group, you done got a lump sum of money. I'm gonna tell you something. Some of them applying for this mess and they getting a lump sum of money. You saying that you don't want the government police enforcement, you don't want nothing, and you going per tribal. Okay, good. You're a tribe. You're your own tribe. But guess what? You better build a tribe within the United States that believe in the United States policies and laws and procedures. Because you being a tribe by yourself ain't gonna cut it. Cause get what? They're gonna give you all that money. You're gonna go sovereign and you're gonna still need because money runs out. I can't tell you how many times the stock market breaks and don't nobody even know it breaking, except people that got money in the stock market. And they'll tell you, man, I was ripped off. They stole all my money and stuff like that. That mess wasn't even on the news. They ripped me off all my money. Wall Street don't fall like that. And some of y'all don't even know it. But this goes on every day. Make sure you sitting up there taking the proper procedures to protect yourself, to liberate yourself, and to secure your family. Because guess what? The moment the system breaks down, all your money that's in stocks, bonds, all your money that's with these people in these systems, banking systems, uh, marketing systems,